Life with Gregory Ricks starts in 5 minutes. Find Winning at Life basically everywhere. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Periscope, Twitch, Dailymotion, DLive, Smashcast, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Castro, Podomatic, Overcast. Did I say Spotify? I think I said Spotify. Anyway, we're everywhere. We prefer you listen on the Winning at Life app, and you can use that app to find us on your preferred platform. Stand by, the show's starting soon. Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks starts in 4 minutes. If you're interested in learning more about money and the financial world, have you checked out the Ask Gregory podcast? The Ask Gregory podcast has financial topics covering everything from how to handle your 401k to Social Security rules to student loans to precious metals. It's all the best segments that we've done on Winning at Life, and we condense down into specific topics by episode. So if you want to know more about money and investing and retirement, that's a great place to start. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, iHeartRadio, Spotify, podcast app on your phone, and about 1,000 other places. I mean, don't go do it right now because the show's about to start, so just sit tight. Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks starts in 3 minutes. Hey, I'm your co-host, James Parker. You can find contact info to some of our show partners, including the Total Wealth Authority, on the Winning at Life app. If you're looking for a financial advisor, start your search with Gregory Ricks and Associates. If you have a mortgage issue, try Dwayne Stein at Mortgage Gumbo. If you have tax issues, try Jude Heath, CPA. And if you have some estate planning questions, try Wes Blanchard. These are all members of the Total Wealth Authority. You hear them on the show on a regular basis, and they're all linked on the Winning at Life app. Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is starting in 2 minutes. You can listen to previous shows on demand with the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, whatever. It's just the Winning at Life podcast. Now, that's different than the Ask Gregory podcast. The Ask Gregory podcast is episodes sorted by topic. If you just want to hear recent shows on demand, like yesterday's show or the show from Saturday, that's the Winning at Life podcast. That's available everywhere as well. The Winning at Life app, iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the whole drill. Hey, why aren't you already following Winning at Life on all of our social media platforms? You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Periscope, Twitch, Dailymotion, DLive. All these places are linked directly on the Winning at Life app. So download the Winning at Life app, whatever platform you prefer. Find us there. We'll come to you. Stand by. Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is going to start in just a moment. Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks starts in 1 minute. Have you downloaded the Winning at Life app? You can listen to the show live. You can also watch the video version of the show live, or you can listen or watch to recent shows of Winning at Life on demand. There's no cost to you. It's in your app store, the Winning at Life app. Welcome to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. I'm your co-host, James Parker. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Stand by. The show is about to begin.
Hey, y'all. Winning at Life. Live Financial News Talk Radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. Advisor, money manager by day. Financial News Talk Radio host by evening. We do this for you weeknights at 7, Saturdays as well. Catch us. Tell everybody. We're on from 10 to 1 on Saturday. Live Financial News Talk. Great thing about the show for the newbies, we take calls. We'll answer your questions. You want to talk about that 401k, that IRA? What about that Roth? Man, and that is where it at, especially with taxes going up. Having money, income streams that's not taxed. You need to figure out how to get that in the mix. If you can't, hey, we'll help you. 504-260-0995. You even might want to call, ask about Social Security. Hey, you could add, what's the Fed going to do? I'll tell you, probably get it wrong, but yeah, you can call. We can talk about that as well. 504-260-0995. We're on Facebook Live. You can watch us over there at the Winning at Life page on Facebook. The Winning at Life app will connect you to the Winning at Life Nation. Just go ahead and download that to your phone, your smartphone, and you can text, email, call the show through the Winning at Life app, connect to the replays and the Ask Gregory podcast. So, James, did you get to hear Jerome?
I did.
Don't you miss the days of the cryptic descriptions?
No, I don't miss that at all. Janet Yellen and Ben Bernanke were unlistenable. Heck, Greenspan was pretty bad, but this guy is about on the level of Greenspan, where you can tell he's not really trying to answer any question. He's avoiding goalposts, and he wants this language to be able to be interpreted as many ways as possible in about a 1 year to 2 year to 4 year time frame. Yeah,
that is what they're trying to do, and he's giving you information for a good ways down the road. There's going to be an exit you need to take about 60 miles from now. That's how far they're wanting you to look, so that they got room to make changes and change that outlook.
Okay, so he didn't say anything during his statement, but I pulled 2 clips just for you, Gregory. During the question and answer session is when sometimes you can get him to sort of slip up and admit some stuff that he didn't admit during his regular exposition there. And the reporters were all asking about tapering. Whatever the question was, it was from whatever angle about tapering. So, hey, so we have a jobs report coming up next weekend. Is that going to weigh heavy on your decision whether or not to taper anytime soon? Hey, we have the unemployment numbers are a little disappointing from last week, the first time unemployment claims. Is that going to affect your decision to taper? Like, all the questions came back to tapering. And so we got a couple of slips out of here. And this was basically one of the when you considering tapering questions.
I think if the economy continues to progress broadly in line with expectations, then I think also the overall situation is appropriate for this, then I think we could easily move ahead at the next meeting, or not, depending on whether we feel like that those tests are met
or not.
A lot of qualifiers in there.
Yeah, and they are expecting to reach a point that they are going to start the tapering. That is the expectation. And signaling, yeah, that's either back end of this year, and it's kind of priced in. It's not going to be a big disruption, but that interest rate deal, when that happens, which is probably early 2023, yeah, that's when you're going to see things get shook up. What might hold them up? I don't know. You could have some problems that could surface that could cause them to continue this, and that would probably mean something ugly is going on for a short period of time, or extending what's going on, and that's what we don't know. But the expectation is things are going to continue improving, then tapering's going to start.
Yeah, so they use the term liftoff for raising the rates. Tapering is something they got to take care of before they get to liftoff. And the last couple of times we tried liftoff, the markets reacted pretty badly. So the tapering discussion is sort of the precursor to the bad stuff that everyone knows has to happen on a long enough time scale. Now, this other answer, this is a little longer. This is a minute clip. We don't usually like to do them this long. But he sort of put down a goalpost on the tapering plan. They see whenever they are going to start tapering, it should end by 2022.
There's very broad support on the committee for this plan, both as to the timing and as to the pace of the taper. So this was a unanimous vote today, and I'd say quite broad support for this approach. You're correct that there are some who would prefer to have gone sooner, and they've made their arguments publicly. For some of them, it's a financial stability concern. And for others, it's other concerns. They can make their own arguments. This is an approach that the committee will broadly support, and it will put us, having completed our taper sometime around the middle of next year, which seems appropriate. The asset purchases, as I mentioned, were very, very important in the early stages of the crisis. They were essential in restoring market function in the Treasury and other markets. Then as the recovery got going, they supported aggregate demand, as they will do. And now we're in a situation where they still have a use, but it's time for us to begin to taper them. Their usefulness is much less as a tool than it was at the very beginning.
Did he put a timeline on when he would finish tapering? What was that, about mid next year?
This is an approach that the committee will broadly support, and it will put us, having completed our taper sometime around the middle of next year.
It's pretty rapid on that. Interesting. Okay, we'll see with that outlook.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they didn't give themselves more room on that.
Middle of next year is like 4 months away from the midterm elections. Y'all sure you want to do this? Sure you want to take that next big step?
Well, probably what they would like. And if it's going to cause some market gyrations, then there would be a pause between that and the elections. And I still don't look for them to do the interest rate hikes before then as well.
All right, you want to take a call?
Yeah.
Gary, on the West Bank. You're on Winning at Life with Gregory.
Hey, Gary.
How you doing?
Hey, we're doing awesome.
I have one quick Social Security question. I'm 85 days away from my full retirement date, which is December 13th. Does it benefit me to take it then or wait till January 13th when we get into the new year? As far as taxes or even that cost of living raise that supposedly is going to happen, which way would benefit me the most?
Well, cost of living is going to impact those receiving it. Are you retired actually, or are you still working?
No, I'm gonna continue to work.
Okay. Well, how much longer do you plan to work? Let's go about it this way.
Yeah, probably till next summer. I can't take the heat no more.
Okay. Yeah, working through the winter, give you a few months.
Around June, maybe.
Yeah. Each month that you defer, you're getting credit for that month. Because, we always kind of talk about, well, if you defer, it grows by 8% a year. But actually, it's not on an annual basis you get that credit of waiting. Each month you defer does increase it. Now,
Correct.
The other balance off is you're getting incremental. This isn't like you're going to get a huge increase over deferring another 4, 5, 6 months, because then you got to balance that. How much are you giving up in those monthly payments?
Right.
So another question we get too is, how is your health, Gary?
Oh, I'm great. I could go on till probably 70 plus.
Okay, so no major health difficulties. Are you married?
No. Yeah.
Okay. Has
36 years.
she retired? Congrats on that.
Yeah, she retired a few years ago. She took it early at 62 and a half.
Okay.
So I know we're going to take a hit on her.
So she's already started her Social Security benefits. Then.
Correct. And we both on our Medicare already.
Okay.
I got her on the Medicare when I turned 65.
Awesome. So you're going to have the largest check. That's already determined that, us guys typically pass on before the women. We leave the money to them, and we leave our Social Security benefit or the largest check is left on to the survivor.
Correct.
So you've already done that. So now it's a matter of, and FRA is how Social Security looks at your benefit. You know, from that standpoint, you're good in this 80 plus days that you mentioned. If you turn it on there,
Right.
you're actually solid because you're getting 100% of how Social Security thinks your benefit is. You're just incrementally
Right.
increasing by putting it off a little bit. You can do a retro up to
Right.
6 months. You could wait 6 months after your FRA and then say, hey, I want it to be retro to my retirement,
Right.
my FRA date, and they'll give you that 6 months in the form of a check
Right, the difference.
there. So that's
Yeah.
one thing you could
I was
consider.
mainly wondering about that increase. You know, if it would benefit me to get it in this calendar year versus next calendar year and not get it at all. You know, it'd just be whatever the rate is.
Yeah, here's one thing to think about in January, because they actually recycle that every year. So you technically won't get all of your credit until next January. So they will update it
Right.
next January based upon last January. So there's a little bit of benefit of turning it on in January, or it's going to be adjusted in January to the credits that you didn't get calculated in on that. But once again, congratulations on that. And you know, you are at a great point, and I applaud this and want everybody listening. FRA is where you need to strive for to get that. And if you think you're going to live into your 90s, then it's a consideration of deferring, because you got to live extra long for the deferral to 70 to make that work for you as well.
And I'm working out a deal with my company, and I'm gonna probably continue to work after that 6 months, maybe 3 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week, just to have something to do and make more money than if I go run down to Home Depot.
Yeah. Well, that's healthy financially and healthy for you as a human to always have something to do. You'll lead a better life the next 30 years.
Phased retirement. I like those.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks for listening to Winning at Life.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right, if you got a financial situation, not quite sure what to do, you can do what Gary did. Call the show, 504-260-0995. That's 504-260-0995. You can also give us a call or text from the front screen of the Winning at Life app. I'm James Parker. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Parents, grandparents, relatives, and guardians, it's Dwayne Stein, your trusted mortgage advisor. Did you know your loved ones spend 26% of every earned dollar on rent? That's 10% more than homeowners. So I'm encouraging you to help me spread the word. With today's lowered rates and loan programs, homeownership is easier than ever. So let Mortgage Gumbo review homeownership options today. Visit snapsendandsave.com. It's that easy.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can hear the Ask Gregory podcast, where you'll find episodes based on a financial topic. So if you're looking for help on a specific situation, there's a good chance you'll find it on the Ask Gregory podcast, including episodes on 401ks, taxes, stocks, Social Security, gold, and whether or not you should buy an RV. Hear the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Less than half of Americans have drawn up a will. If you don't have one, you know you need to get one. But what if you do have a will? Is it up to date? Has anyone in your family been married, divorced, or passed away? Have any new family members been born or adopted? Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me and we'll make you a plan or update your existing plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
To determine if your Social Security will be subject to taxation, you have to be aware of the provisional income levels. The following forms of income figure into your provisional income calculation. And the way we get to that is 1/2 of your Social Security income, any distributions taken out of your tax-deferred accounts like IRAs, 401ks, any 1099 or interest generated from your taxable investments, any employment income, any rental income, and get this, interest from municipal bonds, those have to be figured in to determine if Social Security is going to be taxable.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Find us on the Winning at Life app or winningatlife.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Hey, y'all. Winning at Life, live financial news talk ready. If you'd like to join the conversation, it's easy. Just give us a call. You could reach out through the Winning at Life app, but you can just call 504-2600-995. Got a few stats here for you. One is just kind of like, wow. You know, and you can see what kind of impact our economy on the world is, but the U.S. may have the third largest population of any country in the world, but number one, China, and number two, India, each have more than 4 times the number of the people the U.S. has. That is just, when you put that number to multiple to it, that is staggering there. With just this month left to be counted in fiscal year 2021, the government has taken in $3.59 trillion of tax receipts, while spending, get this, $6.3 trillion, netting to a $2.71 trillion budget deficit. The U.S. has had 23 consecutive months of deficits, its longest deficit stretch since March of 2012. Gosh, doesn't look like that's going to end anytime soon. By the way, the largest budget deficit in U.S. history was $3.1 trillion deficit from fiscal year 2020. 6.3 trillion. Well, new record year.
Yeah, and of all the things that we worry about, of all the things that are reported on in the media, and of all the concerns about how this country is going to make it going forward, this is the number one thing that kills empires, is getting out over your skis in debt, and monetary collapse, economic collapse usually precedes the fall of the great empires. Happened to Rome, happened to the Persians, happened to the Spanish Empire, the British Empire, and I guess now it's our turn.
Well, we talked about the other day, China's debt to GDP ratio is 300%.
Well, that's why they're never digging out of the hole into empire status. I mean, if they have 4 people for every 1 American and our economy's bigger, they must be doing something a little less efficient than what we're doing over here.
Tell you what, and when you think about it, their ghost cities are a problem, and then the debt from all that building is coming to haunt them now. But they actually, when you consider, you talk about us having an aging society, so do they. And they have another big problem. Remember the one child per family?
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out to be mostly boys, men now. Yeah, those are problems that they have that can't be masked.
Okay, so when we use the term pop-up event, does everyone know what a pop-up event is? Because it's sort of a newer term.
Well, it's how I define what we're trying to do. Is I just decided that schedules have changed because some of the events we were doing had to be canceled because of Ida came through and interrupted flow. But what I decided is I can announce an event shortly before I have it. And so kind of semi-officially, I'm announcing a pop-up event, a wine and wisdom event in Metairie. Should be next Thursday. We're going to do it at 2 different times. It's an hour, one at 1:30 and another at 5:30 at the event center at our Metairie location. And this is designed for clients, but I don't mind sharing this because I think everybody should know what we're trying to do and how we strategize and look forward for clients. And I'm wanting to create some group events to where I can get this message out to more people quicker. So this is a pop-up event. I stole it from the restaurant industry, like a pop-up restaurant. Explain what that is.
That would be if Whataburger went into the alley between 2 other restaurants and said, we're just going to sell burgers today. And so they put something on social media, and a bunch of people showed up because there was a deal like 2 for 1. And then at the end of the day, they tear it down and go back home.
Well, don't they sometimes have a pop-up restaurant inside of another restaurant?
Yeah, you know what? A good example of that is over in Mid-Cities. Pal's is a little bar, a little tavern there. And every Friday, there's some Thai restaurant that puts up a tent right in the next to their game room, and they serve their Thai food.
Yeah. So we're not going to some other location with this, but this is a pop-up event, that meaning we need to get out this message and we need to get it out quickly. And part of what we're getting out to everybody is the upgraded guided planning system website that we're rolling out. We're also adding tax efficient models to our strategies to how people can, on their after tax account and unqualified accounts, how they can create efficiency or tax free growth in managed accounts. And then the third thing we're going to talk about, and this is probably the most important of all, not that making tax free money isn't, but the tactical aspect, and that's combining money needs to move to where momentum is, and I like following momentum. That's what we do tactically. And the other part is if the market gets extremely volatile, that block of money that's dedicated to tactical can be adjusted, dialed back, tweaked, or even go to cash for a period of time and then start finding where the momentum is and shift to that. And we're doing that as a built strategy and considering it an asset class. And we need people to understand that and see what's involved in that, a little bit of paperwork. So we're getting them to move that forward. We've done that unofficially for years, but now it's official. We have to document it and get that set up with people and the public. If you're not getting service like this, and this is one reason I'll share it, because you need tax efficiency. You need tactical in the mix. And the guided planning system website is where you use your smartphone, your computer. You can be over in Europe on a vacation. You want to check accounts, see what's going on. We've got a digital vault, and you've got the side where we're working on stuff. And then your view of it is all of your stuff, wherever it may be, you can load into that and see that. And it gives you a lot of metrics and strategy as well. And we think all that's pretty cool and wanting to get that message out there in a fast fashion. So we're doing pop-up events. So we're going to start here in Metairie next week. We'll see how that goes. We'll probably continue those, then do it over in Mandeville, Baton Rouge, and over in Gulfport also.
Well, I don't see anything listed on the website. Is it not public info yet?
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to do that, but there's probably going to be an email going out tomorrow afternoon to all the clients.
All right.
from that standpoint.
So you sign up for the email list, go to gregoryricks.com, and you want to sign up. It's the newsletter. You put your email address in there, and that'll be part of it. And I suppose the people who follow you
we're
on
not
social
running
media,
commercials or anything or doing social media. We're going to email the client database, but I'm explaining to what's going on. And if you're kind of like, well, I want to know more about that, I would like to be in on that. If you're not a client, this is a reason for you to pick up the phone and call my office, 504-832-9200. You might want to explore on how you can work with us to take advantage of some of the really neat things that we're doing to help our clients have a higher probability of success.
All right, so those are going to include wine and wisdom, but these are different than the wine, wisdom, and food experiences that you have scheduled
that's
for.
completely different.
Okay, that's for
from the
non-clients, and this is for people who are thinking about coming on board or just wanting to learn more about what you do at your day job. Is that what that is? The wine, wisdom, and food?
Yeah, the wine, wisdom, and food is kind of a fun introduction to us. And typically, we may occasionally have some clients involved in those because they're bringing a friend or something to check us out. But it's a real fun event where we give some wine tips, we pair wine with food, and we're going to have a financial discussion that evening as well, kind of mixed in with a few courses of food and paired with some great wine.
Yeah, and this is not a pop-up event because if you go to Keith Young's any other day of the week, they're still going to be serving similar food. Yeah,
they'll serve steak.
Yeah, hey, my favorite pop-up business of all time is the Spirit Halloween stores. They just go in an old Kmart or an old Dick's Sporting Goods or whatever. They show up for a month.
I think I saw one trying to pop up today over on Veterans Boulevard.
It's Halloween season, buddy.
Yeah, so those are popping up. Yeah.
All right, sign up for that newsletter. You can see the Wine, Wisdom, and Food Experience events. They're on the events tab, but the pop-up experience, the pop-up events are not on the news tab. You're going to have to get your name in the kitty and maybe give the office a call to be a part of that. 504-832-9200. Yeah, more info on the events that are scheduled, the Wine, Wisdom, and Food Experiences for October. October 13th is at Keith Young's Steakhouse in Madisonville, and then there's 2 events scheduled for Baton Rouge. They're both going to be at Sullivan Steakhouse, but one is Tuesday, October 26th. The other one is Thursday, October 28th. And no, you don't have to wear a costume to either one of those. All right, if you have a financial situation, not quite sure what to do, you need some help right this second, right now, grab your phone and call Gregory, 504-260-0995. I'm James Parker. We're Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Hey, James Parker here from Winning at Life. Something that's come up on the show over the last 10 years is that if you're not at your old job, maybe your 401k shouldn't be either. But do you really know why we say that? It's a funny thing. We put a few $100 in our 401k every month. It ends up to be thousands of dollars every year, hundreds of thousands of dollars over our career, and you don't really know that much about it. How do you invest it? How do you diversify? What do you buy? What do you avoid? You've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do? Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with these financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, Ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
And I want to thank you for all of your help.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
If you've been listening to Winning at Life for a while now, you probably already know that estate planning is more than just a will. You may need a trust. You definitely need both of your powers of attorney. So what's your plan? Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney of offices in Metairie. Listen, don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make you a plan or update your existing plan. Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
Most people think of Crime Stoppers as only a tip reporting line, but we're so much more. Crime Stoppers GNO has worked in our area schools, offering prevention presentations on trending topics from drugs, bullying, online safety, suicide prevention, and much more. And we have a high school teen leadership program which provides students with a first-hand look at the criminal justice profession as a future career, while learning to be an advocate for their fellow students. So to learn more, visit safeschoolsla.com or call 504-837-8477.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live 6 days a week. And if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Steve Rappaport. The FDA authorizing a third dose of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine, but only for people 65 and older and others who are at high risk.
Meanwhile, a CDC advisory committee on immunization practices has been discussing the boosters, hoping to recommend how to proceed with the Pfizer shots. Some panelists feel the vaccines now are enough, while others fear confusion from Moderna and Johnson & Johnson recipients who, for now, can't get extra protection.
Fox's Gernal Scott. The White House calling on Congress to approve legislation raising the debt ceiling. Democrats attached it to a spending bill to avoid a partial government shutdown at the end of the month, but Republicans say they won't go along with that.
The Senate could pass that today, and we could all rest easy. The government's not going to shut down. The American people could rest easy. We'll see what happens.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Hey, y'all. Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. Give us a call if you've got a question, need some help, guidance, or to be straightened out. How about this? 504-260-0995. Hey, it's not too late if you need some more money for retirement. How about try these retirement moves? I picked this up from a Motley Fool. Number one, claim your 401k match for the year. You know, I talk to people from time to time where I've mentioned, I don't like my 401k. What do you mean? Yeah, I put it off. I've got other things to do with money. Like, why? Everyone who qualifies for a 401k match should at least attempt to claim it if you can afford to do so. Well, it's like this. How can you afford not to? It's like if you give me $20 and we're going to put it over here and I'm going to put 20 with it, but it's yours. You just have to wait a while to get it. How could you not want to do this? This money's a bonus that could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars each year and potentially tens of thousands after it's spent a few decades, say maybe in the S&P 500 in your retirement account. But you only get it if you contribute money to your 401k. You know, it's got a brother-in-law. He always gives free this phrase. He said, if it's free, it's for me. Well, that's what the match is. So check with your company's HR department if you're unsure how your company's matching formula works and get that happening. It should be like if you're at a company and all of a sudden they say, okay, this month you qualify for it, you should get that part. You don't have to go do that. It's like, oh, I can't afford to. When you look at it and it's going into the traditional part of the 401k, It's going in pre-tax. So you're not being taxed on that money. So it's actually less of an impact than you would think. Number two, if it's not too late to make these three moves. So we covered number one, get that match. Number two, pay off your high interest debt. You might not, and we talked the other night about paying off. Should you pay off your mortgage? Should you do it? Should you not? And we came to the conclusion, well, it depends. Well, paying off high interest credit card debt, that's something you should do. And gosh, you have to before you're shifting to retirement. But this is something that, and maybe it's part of life. Have you had a bunch of high interest debt at some time, James?
Yeah, credit card debt.
Yeah, me too. And that's in the past. I worked through it. I got over it, got rid of it. So paying off high interest credit card debt or worse, payday loan debt might seem unrelated to retirement planning, but it actually helps your retirement preparedness. High interest debt can balloon quickly, making it increasingly difficult to pay back. See, it can eat up your margin. What you save as you're working, margin, what you take home versus what you need to spend. And you could let that credit card eat up. Next thing you know, you're spending more than you're taking in because of that debt. Have you seen this other thing where buy it now and pay later? Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, like with furniture stores and things like that.
Well, it's even if you want to. I've seen a shoe store online say, "Yeah, go ahead and buy these shoes. You can pay us later. Just go ahead and order them now and pay later."
I don't trust myself with that.
Well, see, there's a lot of that going on, and I read some warnings the other day about that. People getting behind on that, and my thought is, when I saw it, and I'm like, I just put it on my Amex because I'm paying it off at the end of the month. Why would I do the pay later? Basically, when I ordered, I'm paying for it by the pay off your card every month deal. But my thought was, and question is, at what cost? Somebody's financing, and then what does that paper look like that if you forgot or missed it? There are a few ways you can go about getting this paid off. You could open up a balance transfer card if you feel confident you can pay off your credit card debt with a zero introductory APR period. Or you could try a personal loan. This gives you predictable monthly payments and doesn't require collateral like other types of loans. So it's a good choice for those with a large amount of debt. So once you're out of debt, craft a new budget so to ensure you don't fall back into this same pattern. I've got another suggestion. That was Motley Fool's. I don't necessarily, let me shift it from one to another. And you might go get that 0% money. But if you're going to use that tactic, you need to make sure you get that knocked out, because the warning is it's probably going to be maybe higher interest than what you're paying now on that. And what I'd like is you to develop a game plan for paying off debt. And let me check this website for you. Here we go. And it didn't pull up. Did I type it in wrong? I don't want to give it out and it not be active. Here we go one more time.
It works over here.
Okay. Yep, it's there. We just hadn't talked about it in like a year, but it's zilchworks.com. It's something I used a long time ago. I've recommended others. It's a pretty cool strategy that gives you a system. And if you've got multiple credit cards and it gives you a system that you follow and strategies, and when you build it, And it's essentially putting in your debt, your interest rate, and required minimums such as that. And it mathematically figures out a game plan for you to get rid of that debt and gives you an end date if you follow it. And if you have some margin to add to it to get it accelerated, you could like, wow, I'm going to be debt free in 37 months. I like that strategy there. And zilchworks.com, and it, there's a fee to it. I think it might be $39, $49 or something, but take a look at that. That can be a life-changing event. And number 3 of the 3 things to do now: develop a safe withdrawal strategy. Setting aside money for retirement is only half the task. You also need to determine how much you can safely withdraw from your accounts each year to ensure your money lasts for your full retirement. That's that main concern people have in retirement. Will I have enough money? Because what you don't want to do is run out. At my day job at Gregory Ricks and Associates, a Total Wealth Authority, that's one of my favorite things, is income planning. Develop a strategy to take money out. That's what's creating your retirement income. You may have heard the 4% rule, which says you can safely withdraw 4% of your retirement savings during the first year and then adjust this amount for inflation each year after. But this isn't a good strategy for everyone, and it doesn't account for the fact that some people spend more earlier in their retirement when they're more active and less as they age. It could also cause some people to run out of money prematurely. And that's something where there's a page we have in our workbook that we'll take out. Look, well, what are you going to look like at age 110? I know you don't think you're going to live that long, but it also tells us what you're going to look like in your 90s in that case. I'll tell you, and if you're trying to keep assets intact, say, well, I've got $1 million, I want to retire off of it, but I want to make sure that million's left for the grandkids. Okay, that may not happen for you, and you shouldn't expect it, because I'll tell you, 4% is going to stress your assets. Now, in Motley Fool, they were talking about also increase with inflation. I like to build inflation into the plan, but I don't build it with it increasing every year. It's kind of like it'll pop up and adjust for inflation. So I like to do it kind of like every 4 or 5 years and build in and have an assumption for inflation. But the reality is I like to build it into the plan, but that's really going to be up to you. I'll have some people, you know what, it turns out I don't need as much, or I don't want that raise, or I need that raise sooner. And then we set and recalculate out again to age 100. But I like to look at 15-year windows. But you're always looking at where you are and where you're going, so you have an idea, is this working for you? And hopefully these 3 ideas have helped you tonight.
All right, if you got a question for Gregory, call 504-260-0995. I'm James Parker. We're Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I want you to think about what retirement looks like if you plan and you save like you should. Travel, family, vacations, carefree. Now imagine what retirement looks like if you aren't prepared. Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Why don't you stop by and let's find out where you stand. Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com.
Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mosquitoes. We know them as flying, blood-sucking pests, but did you know that mosquitoes are actually highly intelligent? They can smell human breath, our sweat helps them choose their next meal, and they use our body heat to find just the right place to bite. Outsmart mosquitoes with help from Mosquito Joe. Mosquito Joe has this time-release capsule that they spray that slowly releases its mosquito death over a course of a month. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
One of the things I'm going to find out is, what do you think you're going to need a month to continue your lifestyle? And if they're not sure, I say, well, what are you spending now? Because I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different one thing I'll suggest is you need to do a little bit of homework. You need to go look at your outflow from your checking account the past 6 months. Now, sometimes people will pay their bills on a quarterly basis, or, well, I pay my insurance once a year on the house. Well, go back a year and average it out to see what you're needing to pay. And then you have a handle, because now that tells me the net number. So now we have to go back, look at your overall income need. Where does that fit in tax brackets, and get to a gross number?
Call Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
I kind of like using 3 asset classes. I like exchange-traded funds, index-linked stocks. We take those ETFs and we'll invest in stocks through the indexes on the ETFs. We'll use bonds also through exchange-traded funds. And then we like to use annuities to take risk off in the third asset class, to take the risk off, but we're still wanting to index link to get the upside of the market without downside exposure. And that blend is subject to your risk. That's kind of how I look at it. And when we look at the numbers and run historicals, that shows the higher probability of success.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Find us on the Winning at Life app or winningatlife.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
'Cause you make me wanna pull this truck to the side of the road. Slide on over, let me hold you close until you everything I'm thinking. Hop on out.
Hey, it's Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, the Money Show. I'm your co-host, James Parker. If you got a financial situation, why don't you try and call Gregory, 504-260-0995. Tom in Gulfport, you're on Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. How can we help you, Tom?
Yes, I had a question involving precious metals. I've been investing in the last couple of years in silver and been thinking about going into gold. And how do you feel about precious metal investments?
In a diversified portfolio, maybe you could, maybe have a few percent there. That is not something I actively seek out. When I look at how that's done over the years, stock markets outperformed there. And that's most other asset classes. I just want to make sure I'm there. But once again, if you're going to do metals, investing requires a time horizon, and there's a cost to buying that metal, there's a cost to selling that metal, and a cost to housing it. And I'm not a big fan of it, but if you're going to do it, you have to factor those in, and I'm not really wanting to buy it for somebody else to store or hold for me. And if you're using qualified money, you've got to have a trust account set up and have to use a third-party trustee because because it is different handling regarding from the IRS standpoint. Sometimes people get into this, this coin came from a shipwreck or such. I'm kind of more about what's the spot price of gold? What's the spot price of silver? And that's kind of, once again, been trading in a range that's been consistent for quite a while. But sometimes we get into what's the reason for buying the metal. I'm not a big fan of buying coins or like old coins or something. I think people overpay for those, and then they never get back right. When you're at least buying based upon the spot price of gold or platinum or silver, you know where you stand and you know what you can sell it for, subject to the fee from that standpoint. And I would rather have control of where it's stored because I know it's there versus that. And once again, you can do this without handling them. If you're wanting to buy metals based upon the spot price, there's exchange traded funds to do that as well.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Tom?
Well, I was just kind of wondering because I've seen silver prices going up, and I'm just wondering, if they're on a really good rise or if they're just kind of going up and then stabilizing it. So
metals have a competitor now, and from a silver standpoint and gold, and we've talked about what's available on the planet, and there's a possibility better than half have been mined out. But once again, other than somebody being buried with the gold or it's sitting at the bottom of the sea from a shipwreck that people are looking for, whatever we mine never goes away. It doesn't just get used up and disintegrate like pulling oil out the earth. It gets used up. It's not going to be around just because we pulled it up. So you have this one thing about the metal, it's going to always be there. And ultimately, there is a finite amount. With that said, gold, silver, and other metals have competitors, and they're called digital currency. I don't know where that goes, but I'll tell you, governments in general are not big fans of it. Why? They don't control it. And actually, U.S. government doesn't like cash. Why? They don't know where it is at all times, and there's two big uses that's problematic to governments. Criminals use it, and tax cheats like cash, meaning to avoid paying taxes. So that's just where I'm kind of going, that digital coins are competitors, but may not always be. And you could see where all of a sudden money shifts away from digital, and you kind of notice that metals are going up or metals are going down because of the shifting of that. So that's just some of my overall thoughts, Tom, on that. Appreciate your call.
Thank you, Tom. Bonnie in Jackson, you're on Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. How can we help you, Bonnie?
I wanted to speak with Gregory about what he would suggest about me moving to Houston, Texas, selling my home, and either renting or buying when I get down there.
So what is your concern on that? Because you can do either,
well,
but buying is a price. Yeah.
Well, it is a price, and with everything so expensive right now, and I retired 2 years ago. I spoke with you guys about 3 years prior, and I have my savings. I draw my Medicare. I'm trying not to, except for my first withdrawal every year. I'm not really taking a lot of money out of my savings. But I just don't know I haven't had a house note in years, and I don't want to go down and finance a house. I'd like to pay it off. But I was wondering about taking money out of savings, adding it to whatever I get for the sale of my home, which I think would probably be about $150,000 maybe, if I'm lucky, because it's an older home. Moved down to Houston where I can let my girls take care of me when I get even older. I'll be 80 next year, so it'll just be, I know it's inevitable that I would have to go down there. And I don't want to go down there and go in a nursing home.
Right. Have you looked at any, for example, retirement communities over there in Houston? Because you're talking about adding more money. I think on the screen it shows that you're 80 years old, and you have to consider your health. And if you're going to buy, how long would you be in that home on your own? Because we also like to be independent as humans, and successful as you are, you'd like to be independent. But part of this is you're looking to be where your girls are to help you in later years. And then what's the transition of that home? How much excess savings do you have to make that mortgage free? Because otherwise you're probably going to borrow some money. That has to be dealt with in the future. You've got the upkeep of the home and costs of that. So I would look at both sides and try to balance that because of your age. And then you have to consider your health, and realistically, my wife's dad transitioned his business to where he doesn't travel as much. But we kind of asked him, how long are you going to do that? He said, I'm going to do it to about age 90. Okay, I see I get it from his standpoint. He said, I'm good. I can work from now on. But the reality is he cannot. And who knows, that might be a few years, it might be 8, might be 10, but I'm going to tell you, it's not to age 90 that he's going to work. And you have to determine that with your health and being realistic, knowing that at some point in the future, and it might be a decade out, Bonnie, that there is a slowdown coming and you're going to need more help. And that's part of why you're moving there. So look at what rental options are, and also retirement communities that are areas that are designed for somebody beyond that is well past their retirement age. And
well, do you think it would be? Do you think it would be a waste of money, of my savings money, to pull money out of savings, or should I just rely on thinking I would spend the money I get from the sale of my home to determine what I do with that move?
Yeah, I would use that home sale price, plus if you're wanting to buy, how does that impact savings? And that's something we can't discuss on the air, is the amount of savings you have and what income. In retirement and having a home, there's always costs. Even if you paid it off, there's insurance, taxes, and you have to factor that in. You're going to always have costs to factor in.
Thank you, Bonnie. And that's a question that comes up. You're in retirement and you have to move. Is it better to buy or sell that next house?
Buy or rent that next house.
I'm sorry, buy or rent the next house.
It's quite all right. We're on the back end of the show. And that goes to depends on the impact of the assets. And that's why one reason, and that's a case that she's well into retirement making this move, and I applaud her for doing so, because she's preparing for the next phase, because she mentioned for her girls to help her. Okay, I get that. And that's one of the reasons an important question is when we're preparing and counseling and helping somebody through the transition to retirement, one of the questions is, are you in your retirement home? Do you want to be there forever? But then we also have to address a point in life that, if you're the second to die out, the couple, the survivor, are you able to take care of this place? Are you going to transition? I had a discussion a few years back with a lady who says, I want to retire. I want to finish my life in my home. And she had plenty of money, but nobody leave it to, nobody helping the decisions. And I said, what I'm concerned about is you're not going to be the one to make those decisions. And I'd like you to start working on that now while you can.
All right, if you need the help of a financial advisor, start your search with Gregory. Go to his day job, Gregory Ricks & Associates. The website is gregoryricks.com. The office number is 504-832-9200. I am James Parker. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is for informational purposes only and does not recommend the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, legal advice, or tax advice. Investing involves risk, including potential loss of principal. Roth conversion is a taxable event and may have several tax-related consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. The information and opinions contained herein are provided by third parties and have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Neither AE Wealth Management nor advisors providing investment advisory services through AE Wealth Management recommend or facilitate the buying or selling of cryptocurrencies. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The firm offers insurance services. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeart radio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.